Lisa, and I will be going through the webinar with you today, so welcome. So pretty testing times at the moment. I just want to send a little message to everyone to please try and look after each other. If you know anyone that's disabled or has an impairment, it's very hard for these people to get out to the shops and get what they need. So if we can all work together to help people that have a disability or impairment, or elderly people, if you've got extra of something that you're happy to give to them, please give it to them and help them, because this is affecting them a lot more than it is anyone else. Do the right thing, and please don't be selfish. Okay, now that I've said that, we'll get into the webinar. First of all, we will be doing an acknowledgement of country. So, welcome everyone. Let's get started. 30-foot drop acknowledges the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognises their continuing connection to land, waters and the community. We pay our respects to the Indigenous people, their cultures and beliefs, to both elders past and present. So 30-foot drop funding. 30-foot drop would like to acknowledge the Department of Communities Disability Services for funding this and many other events. Without their support, such projects such as Two Wise Monkeys wouldn't see the light of day and would be so much poorer for it as a community. This workshop is part of a Realities and Advantages Access and Inclusion grant, which was awarded to 30-foot drop as part of a Information Linkages and Capacity grant for 2018 and 19. Housekeeping. Unfortunately, we do not have all the resources to monitor all of our live stream webinars. So we ask you if you have any questions, you'll just need to head over to the website, which the link is just below this video. Follow the link www.30footdrop.com.au/live, and that will take you to our website. Hit the live button and then you'll see the chat box where you can ask any questions that you like along the way or afterwards. We'll be covering a lot of information in a short period of time, so grab a coffee, grab a pen and paper, grab something to eat. It only goes for an hour, but it's a lot of information to take in. So we ask you guys to please minimize any distractions that you might have around you, just to get the most out of today. As well, if you talk about 30-foot drop or what we are doing with the webinars, please tag and share and include us in your posts. We feel that it's such an important message to get it out there to support people with disability and impairment. So if you talk about us, please share our information with as many people as you can. We'll be recording the sessions, so if I go over anything and you want to look back on it, you can rewind the video once it's finished. And all the information is available on our website as well. So if you want to look deeper into anything that I've talked about today, we've got all the resources available for you on our resource library. So jump in there if you want to look deeper into any information. And if you know anyone that might benefit from these webinars, please let them know. We're running these webinars till June, so there's lots of chances for friends and family members to get involved and watch these webinars, especially in today's world. Lots of things are going to be online now, and now's a good time to get educated. This is such an important message, especially for people wanting to employ or help the disabled people or people with impairment around our community. At the end of the webinar, we'll be doing a short survey, so if you could please fill out the survey. We need to get as much feedback as we can to be able to move forward and change things for the better. Okay, so now that we've done the housekeeping, I will introduce myself. I'm Lisa. I'm one of the Two Wise Monkeys. I am Hear No Evil. And through me, you will Realise that impairment or not, you will hear no evil about impairment. The other monkey is Ben, and he is see no evil. He has a story to tell, and he will be back next week. He is the director of 30 Foot Drop and Two Wise Monkeys, doing great things in the community. So head over to 30 Foot Drop on Facebook and Instagram and like our page, because we'd love to get more information out there. Okay, so I am hear no evil. Just by looking at me, you probably can't tell what I may suffer from. When I was 8 years old, I was diagnosed with mild dyslexia. Teachers used to hit me on the head, read out my low marks, yell at me in front of all my classmates. Why don't you understand what's wrong with you? Making me feel completely dumb and unworthy, as it would. But despite these challenges growing up, I was so determined to prove these teachers wrong. And being a girl back 30 years ago, it definitely wasn't as known as it is now. And girls was probably even more harder to diagnose, because girls may show other signs of being intelligent and smart, whereas they might suffer in their spelling or reading. So if you know anyone out there that may be suffering from learning, and they've got certain things that they're doing well at and certain things they're not, maybe just get them tested anyway, because you never know. There's so much support out there nowadays, which is so good, and I kind of wish that I had my time, when I had my time, that it was made easier for me, but unfortunately it wasn't, and that's why I'm here to share my message, so that the bullying can be taken away from people with learning disabilities. It's a lot better than what it is now, but back in my day it wasn't very nice. But despite these challenges, I have multiple diplomas in the arts field. I have one in counselling, and at present I have my own photography business. The arts field, I've got museum grade training in framing artwork. I paint myself, I picture frame, I organise exhibitions, marketing, and it's taken me all around the world, and I've loved it. So I'm still trying to keep creative with my photography, and in this current time I went out and bought some art supplies this morning in case we all get stuck at home. Anyway, so isn't there supposed to be 3 wise monkeys? Who is speak no evil? You guys just take a little guess. Who is the third monkey? You guessed it. It's you. The aim of today's workshop is to turn you into a wise monkey. You'll begin on a journey of realizing that, impairment or not, we are all human and deserve to be treated equally and fairly, just the same as anyone else. And this is just as true today in what is happening in the world. We all deserve to be treated equally and fairly. Outline a method of today's workshop. So how are we going to get you started on the path of the wise monkey? Well, there's a lot to learn about people with impairment and their potential impact on your business. We're going to examine the size of the market segment and what people with impairment represent, explaining who they are and their potential customer base. We will then examine the potential impacts they can have on your business, both positive and negative. After covering all this good stuff, we will end the session for the evening and do a chat session. What will our teaching method be? How are we going to get through this? The answer is fun experience and open, honest discussion. So please, if you have anything that you want to say, send it over. Be open and honest, because if we're open and honest about how we feel in this area of disability impairment, then we can help things to change and make it a better community. You'll notice that there's very little written content on the slides, and that's because it's so that you can communicate with us, and it also makes it easy for people with impairments to understand the slides. There's not too much writing. It makes it easy to keep up with. You're not having to try and figure out what's going on, what to read next, where we are. Just simple pictures to keep going through the webinar. So we hope you enjoy it. Right, terminology and review. We just need to get through this terminology and review because a lot of people think that disability and impairment is the same thing, where it's not the same thing, and I will discuss why. So to reduce confusion and ensure understanding, I want to review some terminology that we use in our sessions. The first up is the difference between disability and impairment. An impairment is an injury, illness, or congenital condition that causes or is likely to cause a difference of psychological and physiological function. In short, your impairment is your medical diagnosis. So, my medical diagnosis is mild dyslexia. A disability, on the other hand, is a loss of limitation of opportunities to take part in society on an equal level with others due to social and environmental barriers. It is, as the word implies, something that makes you unable to access or participate in something. So, an example of this for me would be too much wording on your website or your business. Complex information, stylized script can make it hard for people with dyslexia to understand, which then makes it hard for us to get the right information that we need to use your service. This is especially important information to remember because some impairments, like mine, are hidden. So you could have potentially lost business to your service because someone hasn't understood your website or your signage or something like that. So just be aware to make things clear and easy to follow. So hopefully that makes sense to everyone. Next up, we will be looking at the difference between access and inclusion, something that also gets a little mixed up. Access refers to the removal or reductions of barriers, physical and attitudinal, to participate in activities and functions of a community. It is at its core, access focuses a lot on the physical world around us and can be easily assessed with a checklist. Inclusion is more of a physiological state of being and is the process hereby every person, irrespective of their age, disability, gender, religion, sexual preference or nationality, who wishes to can participate fully in all the aspects of an activity or service in the same way as every other member in the community. Inclusion is making sure that everyone can take part. So if you're making someone feel included in your business or service, then they are going to want to come back. But if you're not making them feel included, then they're probably not even going to walk in your door. So something that we all need to think about as a business or service. Once again, I hope this all makes sense. If you have any questions, please head over to the website www.30footdrop.com.au/live. Okay, let's look at the market. Recognizing your target market. Okay, women's sports wear. Here's a business idea. Ignore a potential market. That's what many sports and athletic related businesses did until they realized in the mid-1990s that they were passing on a gold mine. Women. Yes, you know, half the population that everyone thought they should be playing with Barbie dolls and using prams. Well, in the 1990s, there was a turning point as the NBC 1996 Summer Olympic Games coverage was targeted more at women than previously. Many more female-orientated sports advertisements, apparel and equipment lines emerged. So imagine that. Women would actually be interested in doing the same things as every other humans, such as sports. Could many businesses once again be ignoring or missing some potential markets? I think so. Consider, for example, a population that has clear, persistent needs that are no longer being adequately fulfilled. This population spans the world and is growing in numbers and includes very motivated customers. Since this population is currently being underserved and misunderstood by many businesses, many of these lost customers would be very grateful and loyal to your business if you could try and meet their needs. This population that has an estimated disposable income Australia-wide of 54 million and growing. Also consider how margins are always tight and that finding a new or neglected population can help boost your business. So let's have a look at what this population is. Here is the Australian population. All 100%, and Ben assures me that he has counted 100 people there. Feel free to count it if you like. So there is approximately 5% of the Australian population living with a severe or profound impairment. These are people who require assistance or have difficulty with mobility, communication or self-care. Add to this 5% of people another 4% of the population who are unpaid primary carers of people with an impairment. So you now have a 9% of the population potentially missing out on products and services. That's a fair share, and it doesn't even include the families and friends who accompany this 9% on holidays or business trips. You may ask, if it is such a big market share, then surely aren't they already being served? Aren't there items, services, events such as Paralympic Games every 4 years for those with a disability? Yes, we do have that. But that's a bit like saying to a woman who wanted to play sports in the 1970s, yeah, but don't you have hopscotch? While some businesses do seem to understand the market of people with disabilities, many do not, and that is why I am here today. Research. Deloitte and the Australian Human Rights Commission released a report in February 2017 called the Missing Out Report, the business case for customer diversity, and in it they present their research findings about the missed opportunities that occur when businesses do not extend their values of fairness, equality and respect to diverse customer bases. This research covered the diverse areas of gender equality, marriage equality, people with impairments, age, cultural diversity, and practicing noticeable faith. It's well worth reading and can be found in a digital resource library. I've read it and it's very, very eye-opening. So maybe after this, if you've got some spare time, which some of you probably do, get over to the website and have a look at the Missing Out Report. It's incredible information and it will open your eyes to so many things. The research will shock you. Right, okay, so that is recognizing your targeted market. Next, we're going to look at some graphs so that we can understand what's going on with the market and results. Okay, here are some of the findings that they had. As a customer over the last 12 months, I have often found that organisations do not provide the products and services that I need. So that's 35% of people with an impairment that are not getting the products and services that they need. High percentage. And 27% who don't have an impairment also feel this way. So, it should be a lot lower than that for both sides, people with impairment and people without an impairment. It shouldn't be that high. People need to get the products and services that they need. Okay, graph 2. As a customer, over a quarter of people with impairment usually have a fear of rejection or embarrassment when reacting with businesses. This is a lot of scared customers. Do scared customers spend well? Somehow I don't think so. So, Being embarrassed to go into a business because they don't have what you need must be such an awful, awful thing to go through, and it needs to be stopped. Graph 3. As a customer, over the last 12 months, I was often treated less favourably than other customers based on a certain characteristic I have. That is 1 in 3 people, and with an impairment that is treated in this way because of a disability or an impairment they have. That's just awful. Why do we think that we can treat people with a disability or impairment differently? They're still the same person on the inside. They may have a wheelchair or a mobility device, but they're still human. They're still a disability, and it's just disgraceful, some of the ways that they're getting treated, and we need to change this. Graph 4. As a customer over the last 12 months, I have experienced discrimination by 1 or more organisations. This one shocked us the most. Getting discriminated against by 1 or more organisation. This is crazy. Almost 30% of people feel like they are being discriminated against by a company or business. Crazy, crazy figures. Once again, you're not going to spend money in these types of services if you are being discriminated against. So if you're going to discriminate against customers and people with disability impairment, they're not going to come into your shop. They're not going to want to spend money. So you're missing out on that market. So these states show that there is definitely a market that is not having their needs met. Now let's have a look at who this market share is and who are the people behind the stats. People with impairment are just people, just like us, as I said before, all of us. We are all the same. We all have passions, loves, and families. We purchase consumer goods like food, clothing, cars. We go to the movies, we go out for dinner, we go on holidays, we have hobbies, but for some sad reason, we are treated differently. In short, people with impairment are active contributors to the community and the economy, just like everyone else. And as a result, we share a market share to businesses and organisations. Because we are a market share, we also are able to impact your organisations, and how we impact your organisation is up to you as a business owner. Right, potential impacts. Only a minority. Let's have a look at some of the impacts people with impairment can have on your business through only a minority. When it comes to minorities, people can often say, it's only a minority. There isn't enough of them to make a difference. As discussed earlier, we can safely say it's about 9% of the population. What research has found is that people with an impairment and a disability are a decisive and influential minority. Let's have a closer look at these results and go back over the missing report and the stats that they hold. Graph 1, ceasing transactions. Over the past 12 months, I have ceased a transaction because of the way I felt and I was treated unfairly. As we all know, purchasing power is in the hands of the customers, and when people don't get what they need in terms of product or service, they are going to cease a transaction. So that's 29% of people with an impairment ceasing a transaction because they felt they were not being treated fairly. Fair enough too. In the missing out report, they examine this closely and add other factors such as fairness and respect. Let's look at these. This result in this report shows that 1 in 5 customers without an impairment will cease a transaction. This jumps to almost 1 in 3 for people with impairment when they are not treated with fairness and respect, showing that a negative experience is more likely to occur for a customer with an impairment. the next one is definitely something that a lot of businesses need to take on board. More than just walking away from a sale, a person with an impairment or disability is twice as likely than anyone else to dissuade others from using your product or service. Twice as likely. So basically, if your company or service is treating people with no fairness and no respect, then your business is already being affected. So let's come together and treat people with fairness and respect. We all deserve that. And in this day and age, maybe it's going to start happening because reality is hitting that we all are the same and all deserve what each other has. Okay, negative effects. I have been asked in the past if supporting diversity in business can have an adverse effect. Can it drive the current customers away? The Missing Out report found that 12% are negatively affected by a business's diversity reputation, and 58 were positively affected, and 30 weren't that worried. So yes, you may lose that 12% of people to your business, but you will gain so much more by being inclusive. And how good would it feel that you're being inclusive to every single human being? This is not just, this graph is not just impairment specified. There are many other things that came into it, which includes marriage equality and people with impairment and older people, but it's a just decisive group of people, and the disability impairment comes into it. So very, very interesting results there, and it's nice to see that 58% of people are not affected, and well, the 12%, that's their problem. If they don't want to be inclusive or not respect what a business has done by being inclusive, then that's their problem. Okay, so let's look at the key findings. To finish off this section, I want to read out to you the relevant key findings. Customers with an impairment are 3 times more likely to avoid an organisation and twice as likely to dissuade others because of an organisation's negative diversity reputation. There is a good chance that if your business isn't accessible or inclusive, then you're already being impacted. We have covered the possible negative effects, but now let's look at the positive effects it can have on your business. And this is by talking about ethical consumerism. Ethical consumerism isn't just a positive for financial impacts, it's also a positive movement for a better future for everybody. So what is it? Ethical consumerism is a form of political activism based on ideas that purchasers and markets consume not only goods but also implicitly embrace the process used to produce them by choosing certain products over others, or even whether to purchase them at all. Consumers can embrace or reject particular environmental labour practices and make other valuable claims based on the ethical values that they hold. Exercising choice in this way creates incentives for producers to make productive practices to conform with their consumers' values. Successful campaigns waged by ethical consumer movements have popularised dolphin-free tuna, foods that are free from GMOs, sweatshop-free clothing, fair trade coffee, cosmetics, products free from animal testing, and conflict-free diamonds. So if you are dead against animal testing, you're going to go and buy something that is free from animal testing, and the people who are making these products are going with how you're feeling. So more and more businesses need to listen to their customers, and they are starting to slowly, and it's all about satisfying your customers' needs in both ways. There's so many things that you can be doing. Okay, applying to impairment. So how can ethical consumerism be connected with people with impairment? Who here has heard of the Quiet Hour Act Coles and Woolworths. For those that haven't, let me explain. Some impairments make people hyper aware of their surroundings, making activities such as going to the supermarket very challenging. At Coles and Woolworths, every Tuesday between 10:30 and 11:30 a.m., the store lighting is dimmed by 50%. Radios are switched off, register scanners volumes are reduced to the lowest level, trolley collection stopped, and roll cages are removed from the shop floor. PA announcements are stopped except in a time of an emergency, and additional team members are available to help. This is an amazing initiative and makes a great difference to many people. It has also increased the ethical reputation of both Woolworths and Coles. If you research on the internet, you will see that it has been published all over Australia. So how do you think that's affected customers? Customers that have high anxiety, or they don't really like going out in public, but they've got their opportunity for an hour when the shops are quieter and they can get what they need. Okay, this does not make much, this doesn't really make sense with what's going on today, but we're going to get back to how it was, and there will be the quiet hour again. I'm not sure what's happening with it today, right now, but if you're out at the shops, be mindful that these people are around, and some people have hidden disabilities. So, if you can see someone struggling out there, please help them, especially today. I really do think that what is happening is a reality check for all of us. We need to respect each other. We need to get our minds off social media and get into the real world. And this virus is going to wake us up to the real world. And it's not pretty at the moment, but if you stick together, you can get through it. If you can get through this, we can get through anything. So, I'm thinking of everybody out there, and I hope that everyone is staying safe and well, and washing your hands and taking precautions to keep your family safe. But that's the webinar for today, and some of it isn't applicable right now, right today, but if we can educate ourselves through these webinars, and then once everything's settled down, we can get into creating a better place for people with impairment and disability. But please be mindful of these people right now, today. I'm going to switch the video off for 5 minutes. If you have any questions or would like to say something, if you want me to read something out that you want to get a message across to someone, I can do that. So head over to the link under this video and send me any questions or anything you'd like to say about what we've discussed. Nothing's off limits. Let's come together and talk about things. Okay, so 5 minutes, I will be back. But if you do have to go, please jump to the link below this video and fill out the survey. Very, very quick survey. If you want to rewatch this webinar, you can rewind it once I have finished. But I will see you guys tonight to do this one again. So if you have anyone that you think could benefit from this, it'll be on again at 6 o'clock WA time. But please send me any questions that you might have. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. Let me just check the questions. There doesn't appear to be any questions today, but that's totally fine. I hope you all enjoyed part 3 of the webinar sessions. We will be starting them again next week, so if you missed out on webinar part 1, 2, sorry, we're not starting it next week. We will be doing 4, 5, and 6 next week. But if you missed out on 1 or 2, you can watch them in about a week and a half's time. Please share this information with anyone you think could benefit. Stay safe, everyone, and try and find some positives in your life. It's hard at the moment. I know it's very stressful. I'm about to go and battle the supermarket, so wish me luck. I will see you later. Thank you.